Now on Denver 7 News, scorching heat across the Front Range, but relief is coming soon. Our Denver 7 weather team is tracking the cold front coming our way.
The global monkeypox outbreak represents a public health emergency of international concern.
Plus, global concerns over the rising number of monkeypox cases, what Colorado senators are doing to increase access to the vaccine.
Plea did not want a service. She was very clear she wanted a celebration of life, and what a life it was.
And a Colorado icon and marriage equality pioneer is remembered, the legacy she's leaving behind. Evening. We start out with a scorching heat today, but a cool down is on the way.
We found plenty of Coloradans worshiping the sun out at Sloan's Lake in 90-degree temperatures. Meteorologist Stacy Donaldson telling us those temperatures are going down soon. Stacy?
Such a relief on the way. Yes, there's a cold front that'll be moving through tonight. Our temperatures today in the upper 90s. We've officially been to 98 at DIA. Triple digits for the Eastern Plains. 108 for Ray this afternoon, with even 90 up at Eagle today. Now we're going to have thunderstorms move off to the east. Another round of thunderstorms coming through as the cold front moves in later on tonight. This will be by about 8:30, and then we'll see some heavy rain develop again off to our west into the higher elevations around 9:45, which we have occurring right now. More scattered thunderstorms up toward the burn scar areas where we've been having trouble here up at Larimer County. As for our satellite radar picture, a lot of rain moving from west to northeast here across the state. We do have a flash flood watch in effect for the higher elevations in the central Vail Valley here up toward Eagle. Grizzly Creek burn scar area is the main source of contention here because we do have heavy rain that's been moving through this region near Glenwood Springs. So flash flood watch in effect until 9 o'clock tonight. Also here just west of Fort Collins up toward Glen Haven, flash flood advisory and warning for flooding potentially taking place there. And we also have rain leaving the metro area here as we speak, but it looks like we will have a few more scattered showers later on tonight. We'll talk more about that and the big cool down coming our way in a few minutes.
The weather all over the place. Stacey, thank you so much. We'll hear from you soon. All right, there's growing concern tonight over the number of monkeypox cases around the world. Enough so that the World Health Organization has declared the outbreak a public health emergency.
So far, more than 16,000 cases have been confirmed in more than 70 countries. Nearly 2,900 of those are in the U.S., 37 right here in Colorado. Now, so far, just 5 deaths, all of those reported in Africa.
ABC's Phil Lipoff has the latest on the virus and what you can do to prevent it.
Powerful words from the head of the World Health Organization amid rising cases of monkeypox.
The global monkeypox outbreak represents a public health emergency of international concern.
The declaration of a public health emergency, the first time the head of the UN Health Agency has taken such action. 1 month ago, there were more than 3,000 cases in 74 countries. Since then, the disease has spread, and now there are more than 16,000 cases in 75 countries and 5 deaths. Monkeypox is considered a mild illness. Symptoms which start within 3 weeks of exposure include fever, headache, fatigue, and muscle ache. A rash or lesions occur on the face and then spreads throughout the body. Doctors say it spreads through close contact, mostly through skin-to-skin touching, but can also spread through clothing or respiratory droplets in close range.
For the moment, this is an outbreak that's concentrated among men who have sex with men, especially those with multiple sexual partners. That means that this is an outbreak that can be stopped with the right strategies in the right groups.
However, there is no evidence monkeypox is sexually transmitted, and experts emphasize anyone can become infected. Last week, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says it ordered 2.5 million doses of the vaccine. Federal government expects to have 7 million available by mid-2023. This is the 7th time since 2007 the WHO has declared a public health emergency, according to the National Library of Medicine. The others include the H1N1 influenza of 2009, Ebola outbreak that began in 2013, and the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Phil Lipoff, ABC News, New York.
Colorado Senators Hickenlooper and Bennett are calling on the CDC to increase access to monkeypox vaccines across the country. They joined 20 other senators in writing a letter to the CDC and Department of Health and Human Services. They say it's time for both agencies to address the inequities of vaccine access.
As Americans worry about the future of same-sex marriage, a Boulder icon is being remembered for her contribution to marriage equality decades ago. Denver 7's Patrick Perez reports on her impact.
a celebration of life on what would have been Clela Rorex's 79th birthday.
It was very moving, very touching, mostly because I was living a whole lot of my own memories, listening to other people talking about her.
The former Boulder County clerk died this past June. She cemented her place in history as the first in Colorado to issue a marriage license to a gay couple back in 1975.
I don't know that I remember hearing her name back in 1975, but I certainly felt her influence when she issued those marriage licenses.
Neil Fishman was one of dozens of esteemed guests gathered at the Boulder Jewish Community Center Saturday to honor her legacy.
Clela did not want a service. She was very clear she wanted a celebration of life, and what a life it was.
Last week, the Boulder County Commissioners proclaimed Saturday, July 23rd, as Clela Rorex Day, an appreciation now more important than ever as people in the LGBTQ community fear the Supreme Court will target same-sex marriage next.
If the Supreme Court ruling gets overturned, those 6 marriage licenses that Clela Rorex issued will be the only valid 6 marriage licenses in the United States of America.
This week, the U.S. House passed a bipartisan bill to write same-sex marriage into federal law.
Democrats believe that the government has no place between you and the person you love.
Advocates are remaining hopeful the Senate will follow through.
I hope that our straight allies in the Congress will do some research about what makes our community strong and follow our lead.
Regardless of what happens next, Clela Rorex will forever be known as a woman ahead of her time, an icon, not of fame or glory, but because of the steps she took decades ago.
Incredibly sad and a huge loss, a loss to everybody.
In Boulder, Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
All right, a Denver man has filed a lawsuit against the Episcopal Diocese of Colorado, alleging that a priest sexually abused him as a teen. This anonymous man claims priest Jerry McKenzie at St. Michael and All Angels Church in Denver sexually abused him for years, starting when he was a teenager. The lawsuit may be the first of its kind since a new law took effect this year, giving victims more time to file civil claims. Before the new law went into effect, victims had just 6 years after turning 18 to file a lawsuit.
These lawsuits are filed as a symbol of taking back his power, of reclaiming and vanquishing the shame that he has felt and the embarrassment that he has felt. And this is ultimately about accountability for him and obtaining a measure of justice that he has waited very, very long for, especially now that he's finding out how many opportunities there were for him to have been protected.
This new law took effect in January. It allows victims of sexual misconduct after 1960 a window to file a lawsuit by 2025. That law also removed the statute of limitations on abuse claims going forward. As for McKenzie, the church says he resigned in 2000 over different allegations of sexual misconduct. They also say there is little information about him now and that they do not even have a photograph.
This week marks 10 years since the tragic Aurora Theater shooting. To remember the lives lost, a local nonprofit is holding events all day long today in their honor. Denver 7's Micah Smith spoke to one survivor at the event who's using his pain to push himself forward.
Nothing but smiles and cheers at the Hero's Journey 5K starting line as runners take their first few steps.
And I'm super excited to see, what once was an idea actually become a reality.
Zach Goldich, one of the 5K's organizers, says the event is in remembrance of the 2012 Aurora Theater shooting, which changed his life and so many others.
The memories definitely are still very vivid.
Goldich was shot in the neck during that shooting that took 12 lives.
The Hero's Journey 5K, kind of relates to, for one, the people that responded that night and the heroism, not only from the first responders, but, the people who were there helping out one another. We were expecting some type of show, but to have over 220 participants has been absolutely humbling.
Over the last 10 years, Goldich played football in the NFL and discovered a new career path as a South Metro firefighter.
It's a team atmosphere. I get to be the best version of myself every single day. I'm surrounded by great people.
Like for Zach in particular, that's a pretty incredible journey, right? And
Christian Macklin works with Goldich and says it was important for him and his family to be here.
Well, we want to, one is it's, for the boys to recognize what happened, to honor what happened, and to unite honestly around what we do for a living.
For me, 17 at the time when this happened, I've gone through the most developmental years of my entire life, career-wise, character-wise. So it felt like an extremely long time, but at the same point, I remember it just like it was yesterday.
Goldrich says those tough memories propel him forward, and as he crosses yet another finish line, he's focused on helping others do the same. Reporting in Aurora, Micah Smith, Denver 7.
He is an inspiration. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office has found an inmate who walked away from the jail in Golden yesterday. Deputies found this man, 37-year-old Richard Trevithick, in Columbine this afternoon at the intersection of King Carroll Avenue and South Platte Road. Trevithick was able to walk out of the booking area yesterday after staff reportedly forgot to put his handcuffs back on after a search. He was in jail on a failure to appear warrant and drunk driving charges. He will now face an additional escape charge.
Denver's district attorney has formally charged the man at the center of a police shooting in downtown Denver last weekend. 21-year-old Jordan Waddy faces 3 counts of possession of a weapon by a previous offender and 1 count of third-degree assault. Now, the 3 DPD officers who shot Waddy are still on paid leave. During the shooting, 6 bystanders were injured. The DA is still reviewing if the officers' actions that night were legally justified.
That case is getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
All right, an Erie man is pleading guilty to entering the U.S. Capitol during the insurrection. Logan Grover will be sentenced in December. He faces up to 6 months in federal prison, followed by up to 5 years of probation. Now, as part of a plea deal, Grover has agreed to be interviewed by police about those events surrounding January 6th.
Colorado Senator Michael Bennett is requesting $500,000 from the government to support operations at the new Amache National Historic Site. Bennett's bill to create the historic site designation was passed back in March. The site was an incarceration camp for more than 10,000 Japanese Americans during World War II. Bennett says funding for its inaugural year will ensure future generations have the opportunity to learn about its history.
Very cool site. Also very cool, Colorado's Dragon Boat Festival is finally back after 2 years of cancellations.
And it took a lot of hard work to get it back. In 2020, it was the pandemic, and last year the festival was canceled due to toxic algae on Sloan's Lake, but not this year. So today was 3 years in the making, and I had the honor of emceeing the festival. It has its roots going back thousands of years in China and has now spread all over the globe as a celebration of Asian culture, and it was really special to be there. There was plenty of going on today despite the heat, including dancing, Asian food, and of course the dragon boat races. And I gotta tell you, despite the heat, despite the stormy conditions, people were looking forward to this for a number of years, 2 3 years now, and they were so happy to be there.
And I mean, it's so beautiful and such a great cultural tradition for people to be able to come together and
It
celebrate.
really was.
Glad
Absolutely.
you got to MC.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Good job. All right, millions of Americans are under heat alerts this weekend, how these high temperatures are affecting our country's farmers, and the unique solution one city came up with to beat the heat.
Plus, sweating for science. Why a group of Colorado researchers are taking some time without AC.